So the intention here was to present for you a customer research that we did. So Zendesk for startups, we have more than 4,000 startups within our network. So we have a lot of different companies using Zendesk. And we ran a research with them, and we discovered the six items that differentiated the startups that were growing more than the other ones. We said high growth, comparing them to stagnant startups, of course, regarding the customer experience. So that's the theme. So it's going to be very practical, pragmatical. So I will talk to you all about the 6 tips or activities that we identified that companies were doing correctly, that led them, because of that, to have a better customer experience, and because of that, to have a higher growth than the rest, right? So that's the theme of the day. So unlocking growth through customer experience. Of course, very quickly, most of you know Zendesk, we are a multinational company. We started in Denmark, but we became an American company. We were born in Denmark with 3 Danish founders, but we grew and developed in the United States, in California. We have more than 100,000 clients worldwide, and big clients like Stripe, Zoom, the ones that we are using here, the same system that we are using here. Zoom is one of our biggest clients, Slack, Airbnb, between many others. So we have reached a interesting success in the market. And that's also why I think we have a good view of what people are doing there. So it's more to say why customer experience matters, right? And I told you before, we examined more than 4,000 startups, and we understood the reasons, right, that startups should invest time in their customer experience. Of course, promotes long-term retention. It's number 1. Establish brand trust, reshape your product roadmap. When you are interacting and have good experience with customers, of course, you can go back and bring a better product, identifies cross-selling opportunities, and even number 5, can help with recruitment and team culture. People want to work for companies that treat the client well, right? You don't want to work for a company that you hear that it's despising or making bad movements or bad judgments against their own customers, right? Moving ahead here, at the end of the day, it's all about CX being a growth ladder and not a cost center. Some of the startups, and most of the startups, not some, sorry, they don't have a strategy for CX. And we are talking early stage startups here. And early stage startups, they look for most of the time investors and new clients. But what we want to show here is that maintaining and treating well your current customers, your customer experience should be as important as selling and fundraising, right? It's more competition. It's a buyer's world. It's getting higher and higher. The cost of acquisition is getting tougher, right? You can see here how through the years, cost of acquisition has increased. So it's getting more and more expensive to make acquisitions of new customers. Another item that is important. So customer experience even more important, right? And customer willingness to pay, of course, has declined because they have more opportunities, they have more access. We are in a very democratic, I would say, internet, social media speed of things has democratized a lot of things. And so we have identified that they're willing to pay less and it's more expensive. So higher expectations, hard to please. So acquire and retain is as important. So retaining here is as important as acquiring. And of course, invest in customer experience has a significant impact on revenue. Here's a little bit of a demonstration of retention being 3.97% as important or more important than just acquisition. And it does lead to growth. Yes, it does lead to growth. Although more than 70% of small business don't have a formal CX strategy, I don't want you to do that. So that's why I am here. Let's go to what I told you in the beginning. We want this to be very pragmatic. Go like, what can I do? What I should do in my day-to-day, not just another presentation. So let's go to what matters. The 6 things, right, that I told you before, that are making startups grow more regarding customer experience. So first things first, early stage startups, they start interacting with customers, and normally they ask me this question: when should I stop using Excel, WhatsApp, and email, and should I migrate to a platform, right? And when we say platform, we say here customer experience platform, like Zendesk or like any of the competitors that we have, right? Very important parenthesis here. I won't be defending Zendesk only. I'll be defending, do this as a customer experience, those 6 things. And if you want to use Zendesk, very good. If you don't want to use Zendesk, but at least go out of this session and this recording promising me that you will have some time in your company to do customer experience investments, and time, of course. Time is important investment. So closing that parenthesis, adding a platform was one thing, as Zendesk or other competitors, that we identified that made some of the companies grow more than the others. And I will show you 33% more growth between the companies that up to the second year, they make it more professional and they have a platform. You get, as we say, we get out of the email. You stop just answering and talking to your clients via WhatsApp and email, and you have a dashboard, you have organization, you have an omni-channel solution, you have profile, you have administrators, you have agents. Oh, Arthur, but I'm very small. I cannot have a team of 300 people. Okay, I'm not saying that. At least start with one person responsible for that customer experience relationship. So 33% more likely to add support first. So this is tip number 1. As soon as you are a little bit organized and you feel that you need to make the next move, do it and implement a professional platform. This is tip number 1. Bear with me, we're going to 6 very practical solutions here, of course. And I see one hand, Joshua, go. Good that we have people asking.
I just wanted to, the criteria that you are using to classify the startups between high growth and stagnant, could you explain to us a little bit more what's behind that criteria? What is high growth and what is stagnant for you?
So between the criteria, we established a percentage of growth year over year. And the ones that were above that growth, we connected with the 6 tips. I must tell you now that I don't have the exact number of this that the team of research did. I can ask there the numbers and can say to you, okay, Joshua was X%, was above that X% was higher growth, below was stagnant. I don't have the number now, very good question, but I will ask the team and I can send to you. But important for you to know is that the comparison was they had to reach at least X amount of growth per year, year over year, to be considered growth. Okay? Cool, moving ahead. Number 2, you will have to be with me for 6 numbers. So number 2. So first thing you have to do, get out of email, go to a professional platform like Zendesk or competitors. Number 2, make it easy to reach you. Why we say that? Because we have understand that today people want to use whatever channel that they want. And I have a very interesting case. I was mentoring a startup entrepreneur here in Brazil. I'm from Brazil. So I was mentoring a startup. He was a founder of a solution for students that wanted to have private classes with teachers. So it's a marketplace. From one side, you had the teachers that were mathematics teachers or physics or whatever. On the other side, you had students. And he created this amazing platform, and he created even their own app. So they have their own app. And what happened is that most of the people, after they joined the platform and they started contact the teacher with the students, they were getting out of his app and using WhatsApp. And he was like, okay, how can I control that? I don't want them to use WhatsApp. I want the interaction to be through my app because everybody's using WhatsApp, etc. What I have experienced here in my entrepreneurial founder life, as I was also a founder before being as active as Zendesk, is that instead of trying to force the channel that you want to communicate with your customer, be open to have different channels and let them communicate with you in the channels that they prefer. And then you will ask me, well, how can I manage that? Of course, once you have the platform, the CX platform like Zendesk or others that I told you in the tip number 1, you will be integrating all these different channels into your own and only dashboard. So if somebody sends you a WhatsApp, if somebody's talking to you through your chat bot, if somebody's talking to you even in social media or email or whatever, all these channels will be centralized and you can answer them in whatever channel that they want. I see a hand. Good, Alejandro.
Thank you, Arthur. I wanted to ask you about how many integrations does Zendesk have and how can we take advantage from them?
So we have, if you go to Zendesk Marketplace, Alejandro, and you just put that on Google, you open the Google and you say Zendesk Marketplace, you will see more than 1,000 integrations. So everything that you think can be integrated into Zendesk. So it's one thing that we thought as a company to exactly, and you just advanced one of my tips, because one of my tips is use integration. I think it's the tip number 5, cinco. But very good that you asked. So very important integrations, and we are one of the biggest platforms for integration, more than 1,000 apps and everything else, from very famous to even integration that you don't have no idea. So thank you, Alejandro. That's very important, and I will reinforce that. But yes, ask me again.
Okay, so maybe the question is, how do identify the bottlenecks or the platforms to make integrations with?
I would refrain a little bit, I would reframe a little bit the thinking more to and see if I understood correctly your question. Instead of that approach, I would be what are the kind of channels that my customer wants to use, and go from the customer to your platform. Not try to force your platform to the customer and say, okay, this is the thing that you have to communicate with me, but give a little bit of openness and see how the interaction begins and stays. For example, Latin America, and especially, I think it's the same for you, but Brazil and Mexico and many others, WhatsApp, it's very strong, right? Because people, they demand that they want to use that. So it's the same example that I was giving. If you think the best channel is A, B, but everybody's wanting and talking about WhatsApp and want to talk to you about WhatsApp, integrate with WhatsApp, yours is Zendesk or platform for customer experience, and from there you go. So I would reframe the approach to understand first the market, and from the market go backwards to your company, because I am in favor. Some people are in favor of pushing or pressing or being more product oriented and then go into the market. I am more a market, go to the market first, and the market will dictate everything else that we do inside. So that's my suggestion, if I got your question right. Cool.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
So tip number 2 that we were here, omnichannel. So the tip number 1, add a professional platform. Tip number 2, omnichannel. Give all the channels that you can have for them and let them decide, the market and the customer, what they want more, and double down on that. That was the thing I was talking to Alejandro, right? And you see, once again, high growth, it's on blue light, and dark is stagnant. And you can see the difference on your right side. Also 30% by coincidence. It's a different number, but it's also 33%. Okay, build a plan and for live channels. And this is very interesting. And I would say here, I give a parenthesis all the time. We're talking about live channels, and live channels is mostly chat and telephone, right? So people can live en vivo, as we say in Spanish, en vivo or ao vivo in Portuguese, they can interact with you. This is one thing that we understood, that the companies that gave this en vivo or ao vivo live interactions, they were growing more than the others. And I normally do a stop here and I make a suggestion, because I think it depends also. If you see the general numbers, of course, this tip number 3 is give live opportunity for the customer to interact with you. But I think that understanding, even going further, understanding what is your profile of customer. Are you talking about a customer that is younger generation and older generation? And let me explain why I'm talking about older and younger generation. You all have a uncle or grandfather or grandmother that once they want to talk to a company, right? Very hard for them to use chat, very hard for them to use frequent asked questions or use social media. Normally they want to just grab the phone and call somebody, right? They don't want chat bot, they don't want this kind of things. So if you are, for example, a startup here in Brazil that it's a senior, they are oriented just for senior people, it's 70 plus, right? Of course, telephone will be even more important. If you are more, your company and your approach, your position to the market is more to a younger generation, you of course will see that most of the younger generation that were brought up and they grew with internet, and they are very used to chat, and they sometimes don't want to talk to a person, right? So give the opportunity of a live interaction, and also double down depending on the demographics that you are serving. So this is also important. And you see here the difference is 20% higher growth than stagnant, adding live chat and telephone. So just to recap very quickly, tip number 1, professional platform. Tip number 2, omnichannel, various channels of communication. Tip number 3, live possibility, chat, telephone. Of course, parentheses, pay attention to your demographic to know which is more important, telephone, chat, messaging. So understand your client again. Number 4, this is also interesting, and also regarding a younger generation, that we say use the frequent asked questions and blogs from the beginning. And this will help you in 2 fronts. First, of course, especially when you have a younger generation that don't want human contact, don't want telephone, you will prepare in your website, in your communication, in different channels, the frequent asked questions and the answers there. Why? Because an entrepreneur and somebody working for startups, they will understand that one of the signals that they found the market, the famous product market fit, it's when they see a repetition of questions. Oh, I found my public, right? My target, because they all ask the same questions. I had a startup that I founded in 2011, end of 2011. And I was a founder, did Series A in Brazil. I had angels, etc. And I remember very clear people from very different states. You know, Brazil is very big, 200 million people today, but very big. One person from the north area of Brazil, another from the south, never met each other, but they were asking me the same kind of question. Oh, Arthur, how can I interact with you that? Or I don't know what you're doing here or there. So you will see, and it's one of the signals that you identified your public, your target market, is you will see common questions being repeated. So take those common questions, and why not constructing proactively those questions in your communication and the answer. And this will help them to have a better experience with you, because then they just, okay, I have this question, then, and they feel that's so special, right? Oh, I have this question. It's me. Nobody knows it. And then they go and they'll see the question. They say, oh, they already know that I was supposed to have this, doubt or question. So use that for a better experience. But of course, the more content that you put on your channels and websites, you will have the content that will help you with Google ads and SEOs, etc. So this thing here helps you in two fronts. First, with customer experience, but also by creating more and more content of the questions that you already know that will be asked, and be proactive here. You will generate more traffic also to your sites. So this is number 4. Here it's like a help center, but I think I can jump. But fast growth help center articles. You can see on your left difference from slower growth. For example, the first 24 months on your left screen, first 24 months, the fast growth company had 123 articles online versus 72 the slower growth. So just a very clear metric here. Okay, so 24% self. Okay, this is just, you see again the light blue now stagnant, and higher growth 27% more. Number five was a question that Alejandro asked me, right, Alejandro, before you were asking about integrations. So this is the point of integrations. This integration increases productivity, streamline workflows, and we even say add every 6 months, right, an app here to integrate into your platform. So integration is very important, because of course you will increase dramatically your productivity. Of course, I'm from Zendesk, and I can say that Zendesk has more than 1,000 integrations you can do. But if you don't want to use Zendesk, look also for platforms that you can, like softwares that you can integrate in your day-to-day activity, right? Most popular integrations, and this of course has a very big impact from the United States. So Jira and Slack, user data, etc. Right? Slack, I think it's bigger in Latin America, but the others are very American. Most of their startups that are inside of a program are from the United States. So we have to do that observation, right? And we said here, growing teams invest more in applications, right, to put data at the agent's fingerprints. Agents in English here is the person that will be responsible for communicating directly with your clients.